What's going on, guys? So great to see all of your smiling faces back. Thank you for joining us for episode number 4 of Reviewing Your Customs. Today we have 4 new artists and pairs slated to be on this series. We couldn't be more excited to show you guys these today. So first up, we have a pair from Trane Kicks. Oh man, looks like we have either, oh look at that detail, has my name on there. We got the air bubble packaging. This is nice right away. Trane Kicks Customs, Dillon DeJesus. Oh man, I am digging this already. Check this out. Custom box, got his logo on and everything. To Dillon DeJesus, this is awesome. This is a great start. All right, we got a note. Dillon, thank you so much for reviewing my cleats. I've watched your videos the past 2 years and you've helped me a lot with ideas and troubleshooting. I created these graduation themed cleats last year because I was a senior in high school and wanted to commemorate my graduation year. I planned on wearing these for my final baseball season, but made the smart decision to keep them dead stock, lol. I hope to continue growing my business. Thanks again, Andrew. Trane Kicks. Ooh, man. Colors are popping right away from the start, you could tell with these. All right, I love a good graduation theme. This is gonna be one of the most tackled custom themes of all time. A lot of people have attempted this, and one of the first things that I wanna compliment is that the colors are extremely saturated and vibrant, and that is a great part of these. We have the Kanye portrait on one side, and then we have the actual artwork from Takashi Murakami on the other outside of the cleats. We also have these really vivid solar red laces on here. I think that's a nice touch too, but right away we just really got to get into some close-ups of seeing this artwork because this is by far the best detail of these. It's done really well, and if you notice, this is a really tough texture to be working on. We have this hexagonal print that's going on the outside of the cleats, and so that just makes it a really uneven surface and really makes your job pretty difficult of trying to do some detailed artwork like this. So looking at it up close in person, this is done really well. I'm extremely impressed. You don't see this too often, actually, I think on a lot of graduation themes, but I'm a fan of having the parental advisory logo too. I think that that's a nice little touch too. On the insides of the shoes, we have a little bit more of this starry effect going on, and I think that that looks really great on these. I'm also just a fan of looking at these from the top view as if a person was wearing them. We have the darker purple that's going on throughout the tongue and the sock liner, and then we have this little bit more of a magenta color that ends up near the toe box of these and then starts to wrap around the side. So overall, I think that the gradient on these is done really well too. These are interesting colors to try to blend from the graduation artwork, these purples, corals, oranges, pinkish colors, and I think all of these hues are blended together extremely well on these. So I'm not sure if this Kanye portrait was included within any of the actual graduation artwork, but I think that it looks really cool on these. It definitely captures Kanye's essence, and then we also have this graduation stencil done right below it, and that looks really clean too. It's done super crispy, and I like that neon pink. It almost kind of matches the solar red of the laces too, so that's a nice little touch. The graduation caps flying behind Kanye too, super cool. So if there's anything at all that I think people can learn from on these, I think that we have a tad bit of overspray going on near this little pull tab on the back of these. And so I think that one thing you could do to combat that is just go ahead and paint this a solid color, something that'll combat the theme, of course, and you could have done it any of these purples or pinks, these coral hues. I probably would have gone with maybe a darker purple on the back tab here. I think that that would have lined up pretty nicely and just continued that gradient, also the darker colors at the back, but it's not like it's distracting or anything, but just something to take note of that, you know, I think that other people can see and potentially learn from, just to, you know, remove any aspects of people even being able to tell that these were painted or airbrushed or anything like that. So heading back over to the actual cover artwork, obviously you can see that all of these details are hand painted. Like I said, this is a tough surface to work on, but one thing that I'm taking notice of is the clouds are also hand painted, and I think that those would read a little bit better if they were done with an airbrush stencil. They would read a little bit softer and just kind of fill into the background, fill some of that void a little bit cleaner. I think that the overall feel of it would just match it a little bit more if those were done with an airbrush stencil rather than trying to do them by hand, which is pretty tricky. One more thing about these inside panels where the star effect is going on, I think that it looks pretty cool, but I think one thing that would help the star effect is if we had some of that super tiny splatter print, and the way that you can achieve that is with some thinned out paint in a toothbrush, an old toothbrush, and you just go ahead flicker that at this. I think that that would increase the amount of stars not only, but just give it a little bit more of a realistic look of having some of those tiny stars included too. But overall, super clean job. You really did the graduation theme well. Great job, Trane Kicks. Alright, and next up we have a pair from The Right Magic on Instagram. Alright, so inside our packaging we again have a lot of our bubble air packing wrap stuff, whatever you want to call it, but either way it does a great job of protecting the actual package. Alright, we got some really unique packaging here again. We have this custom box that's clear see-through, and then the kicks are wrapped up inside with a bow. We have a sticker on the outside here, so this is something I am excited to open, and that's what custom shoes should really be. It should be an experience the entire time, from the time you get the package to you start opening it up. All of this is part of the total package, so all of these little details really matter and go a long way. All right, start off with our note. Good day, Dillon. Thank you so much for critiquing my artwork. Your work is so inspirational to me and your input would be amazing. Being a trauma-registered nurse by trade, creating artworks on shoes has become a home away from home to me. I've painted this pair for myself when my husband surprised me with a trip to Disney early this year. It roughly took me 2 days to paint prior to us flying off to Disneyland. Phew! I've wrapped it up, by the way. I usually would for a client. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Love, happiness, and a little bit of pixie dust, Mel at The Right Magic. So before I even open these, you guys really need to check out her work on Instagram. It is some of the most unique stuff that you will ever see. And wait till you guys see this pair inside. So we have this really cool purple bow that is going on around the outside of some wrapping paper covering up the shoes. Another sticker. Feel bad even scratching up this wrapping paper. Man. Fire. Dude. Woo. I have never seen anything like this. Whew. Where do we even begin on these? Really cool that we also have some additional custom hang tags along with the Vans off the wall one, but man, oh man, all of these don't look painted. These look like they have to be from some type of printer in the Vans factory, because it does not look like a person should be able to paint something this. I don't even have a word for it. So to me, one of the highlights that I'm noticing right away with this pair is not only how vivid the colors are, but throughout a lot of the areas of the shoe, we have this very little, slightly subtle glitter going on. And of course it fits the Disney kind of vibe that you're going for. And it just looks, it's just another added detail. I can't believe I'm talking about the glitter first rather than just how many hours this must have took. I know you said it took 2 days, but to sit here with this computer precision by hand is just absolutely insane. So I think that one thing we need to do is kind of take a little bit of a 360 view around each of these shoes. So on the right one, we have one of the classic scenes from Aladdin. We have Aladdin, Jasmine, Apu, the magic carpet. We have the genie. We have the cave where the lamp is. And we have that gradient in the background from purple to pink to orange to yellow. That gradient, all done by hand, super smooth here. A gradient by hand, no easy task, but looks really sweet here. Then we have some more traditional Disney artwork wrapping around the backs of the shoes. We have, looks like Mickey and Minnie dressed in some sea captain uniforms. And then we also have a few Disney style treats on the outside too. So I almost feel bad that you guys don't get to enjoy these in person like we do. There's no amount of compliments that I could actually give these that could actually do them justice because of how unique these actually are. All of these details are so small. If we take a look at the actual Aladdin artwork, I mean, look at the size of the magic carpet, but yet all of that detail packed into there is just absolutely insane. I mean, the monkey is the size of like a dime, and look at how crystal clear that is. All of that depth and shading that's packed into the head of the cave there, you really feel like you could just reach out and touch it. Now looking at our Rapunzel shoe, I don't even know where to begin with these either, but the characters look great, the background, that city scene, it is so much detail packed into such a tiny space, just like the other shoe of course though. The sky going on behind the city background also has another really clean gradient by hand. We go from this really nice light pink up into this really vivid blue, and then there's some hand painted different shades of pinks and whites for the clouds, and man, oh man, does it look good. Even if we take a look at the Flynn character and you look at some of his facial hair, it looks like he has a nice little 5 o'clock shadow or stubble going on, and to be able to pack in that amount of detail in these is just absolutely insane. So I have absolutely nothing bad to say about these, and I think that I would get in a little bit more trouble for actually critiquing them, so we're gonna go ahead and move right on. Just kidding, that's not what you guys came for. You wanna hear what I might potentially do a little bit different. So one thing that I will like to take notice of is that I think that there still is a little bit of a sheen from the paint. So I'm not sure if this was done with Angelus or a different type of craft paint. You can get away with some different paints on working with Vans, but there still is a little bit of a sheen. It's just a preference for me, but I like a little bit more of a matte look. So if these were done with Angelus, you would use a product like Duller to remove any of that sheen and have that really, really flat factory finished type look. So another tiny little detail that I like to do when working with Vans or something that has a vulcanized sole like this is you can go back with something like a toothpick around some of these edges where the canvas panels meet the actual sole, and it's really easy to just clean up any areas where you potentially got any paint onto that sole. It comes right off, doesn't leave behind any residue or any discoloring onto the sole either. But overall, from the packaging to the final product, these are above a 10 out of 10. This is by far and away one of the best custom shoes I've ever seen in person, so thank you for even allowing us to critique these. Great job. Next up, we have our second pair of cleats for the day from Soul Glow Custom Kicks. Alright, so it looks like we have some design work going on the outside of the box. These, it looks like the box was spray painted black. We have a little bit of gold speckling going on, and then we also have the Joker's mouth. So I think we're going to be dealing with a cool Joker theme inside. Alright, so on the side of the box where we typically have the sizing label, we have a Soul Glow Custom Kicks sticker delivering one-of-a-kind customs. Oh man, this is cool. We have the Why So Serious on the inside of the box. These shoes are shrink wrapped, really dig that. Dear DeJesus Customs, I really appreciate you taking the time to review my customs. It is a true honor. I enjoy creating customs that depict realistic images with the use of only black and gray. Interesting. Interesting, I like that. The Joker custom has been done many times before, but I wanted to take a different approach. I've included the scene where he is driving in the police car, as well as one of my favorite quotes from the movie. The images are hand painted and the background is airbrush. Thanks again, and I hope you like them. These customs are for sale, size 12.5. Mike M from Soul Glow Custom Kicks. So if anybody is interested, we are dealing with a size 12.5 pair of cleats here. So all he did also was turn the entire shoebox inside out and then was able to, like I said, spray paint it completely black, do some design work on the outside. Goes a long way. Alright, so before even critiquing the customs, one thing that I really like about these is that he's trying to do something outside the box. He said he wanted to depict realistic images in black and gray. He's doing a classic theme, the Joker, that almost every customizer has tried. We put out a 20-minute video last year just talking about different ways that you could tackle this type of theme and make it your own and unique. But to go ahead and say, I'm going to take images from the movie and try to depict them in just black and gray, I like that. I like that a lot. So starting with the overall vibe of these, we have some purple on the toe boxes that blends right into our Joker images, and then we have some green wrapping around the back and the heels, and then we also have a vignette around the entire thing. I love that for a Joker theme. You're trying to go for that dark vibe, and it came out really crispy here. Before we get into the Joker images, I want to talk about some of the other subtle details that I'm seeing. We have the haha print going on the inside of these shoes. Another thing that I like about these is that these Adidas cleats have this striping on the inside, and the haha print actually follows that. So I think that's smart, subtle use of taking advantage of some of the curves, contours, and different types of lines that are naturally occurring within the pair of shoes you're working on. Then, like he mentioned in his note, he also included his favorite quote from the movie, "I just want my phone call." Obviously, the Joker said this right after he got arrested. And then on the outside of the right shoe, it looks like we also have a silhouette of Harley going on. I like that how subtly it's done. It really blends into the purple. It wasn't even one of the first few things that I noticed. So it's cool as you look at these a little bit longer, you start finding out more and more. I think that this is a nice little touch for these. And now getting into our actual Joker artwork, on the outside of the left shoe, we have the scene of him hanging on the outside of the cop car with his hair blowing in the wind. And this is all done with just black and gray. Obviously, this style of artwork has become very prominent amongst tattoo artists to go ahead and just try to achieve this monochromatic look. Super crispy how this came out. I love how it's blended into the rest of the shoe, which is that black shading into the green and into the purple. Really unique. Then back to our right shoe, we just have a close-up of Heath Ledger's face, and you cannot hide from a close-up picture of a portrait. You can see all the details, you can see all the depth, you can see all the shading. Does it really achieve that look? And I absolutely think it does. This really does a clean job of capturing Heath's look here. So now on to anything that I might potentially do a little bit different with a Joker theme like this. I think it's pretty interesting that we almost have an omission of the color red, which is one of the most prominent things of the Joker's makeup from his smile. And the only real red that we have on these is kind of on this text on the inside, the "I just want my phone call." But rather than that being that vivid red, you almost went with the color maroon that kind of matches the tongue and the laces. So to me, the red is one of the first things that I think about with the Joker. So one way that I might have incorporated that is maybe some blood splatter somewhere, maybe tying that into some of the green, where the green doesn't necessarily have any other design work included. It takes up a lesser portion of the shoe, but I think that maybe even doing some of the haha print included there in red also would have just been a nice little touch too. But overall, when you're doing a Joker theme, something that's been done by so many artists, you definitely want to find your own way to stand out. You don't want to make them look like everybody else's. Another thing that would fall in line with that is that hexagonal print from Heath's shirt that could have been done on the purple here. But to do these all by hand, great job. So another little detail, since I know the base of these was airbrushed, is here you can see on the left side, we have the Adidas logo still a little bit more visible rather than on the right side. Although the purple continues a little bit further here, one way that we could cover this up, I know that we need this vivid lime green to pop, but what you could start with is covering this up with a little bit more of a light gray to cover up that white base to start. Although the Adidas print is in black, I'm assuming this started off as a white base with that Adidas print in black, so if we cover that up with light gray first, then we could start blending in this lime green, and all of that would be covered up. So that's just one little tip if anybody's watching and wants to learn how they could cover that up a little bit better. But overall, a fantastic take on the classic Joker theme. All right, and now we have our final pair from G1GB Customs. We got the custom branded tape wrapping around the box. That's a nice little touch. All right, so right away, I think we're gonna be working with a really cool sketch theme. We have the cartoony graphic going on the Nike Air logo on the outside of this Air Force One box. All right, hey Jason, what's up, man? Big thanks for having me on this episode. Here are the Strawberry Lemonade Air Force One cartoons. Once again, big thanks, God first, God bless, Nigel Maddox, G1GB Customs. So Jason was the one who was in contact with Nigel about getting his pair sent in for today's episode. So we have one of the most popular themes in custom sneakers over the last 18 months, first done by Joshua Bides, I believe is how you say his name. And he brought that theme to everything, obviously had his own art gallery with this sketchy style. And this is a really cool rendition, obviously nicknamed the Strawberry Lemonade, hence the colorway. I think that these overall do a great job of achieving that sketchy look. Just getting into some of the details, we have a nice fire red on the swooshes along with the toe box, and then on the back heel also we have this really cool strawberry lemonade-ish pink that's going on a lot of the main panels too. And then we have a slightly different shade going on this medial panel directly behind the swoosh. And then we have a couple hints of yellow on the tongue tag, and then on the Nike Air branding on the midsole. So what's really cool about this cartoon theme overall is that it's meant to be a little bit imperfect. And all of the base layers before any of the sketchy details get added are done great. All of the panels are really saturated, nice and vibrant. The colors came out great. So before any of these little black and white details were added, I know that these looked really clean and it was done properly. Then the way that you're really gonna achieve that overall cartoony look with these is by going around every single contour, curve, shape, line of the shoe that is naturally occurring and either add some of that black shadowing or that white highlighting. So even all these little dots that are occurring on the toe box, all of those need those tiny little details to have that cartoony look. Then another one of my favorite parts is that you of course too went the extra mile and did all of the black outlining around the white shoelaces too. And it looks like you even went as far as to continue some of that black outlining around the tongue here. It's tucked behind the laces, so you could potentially try to get away with not doing it, but going that extra mile is just really adding to that cartoon look for the shoes. And it's not skipping past any details, it's going the extra mile for your clients. So these type of things matter. So the one area of these shoes where I would have liked to see some of these sketchy details continue is right here on the midsole where the stitching is. If you just went ahead with your black paint and loosely filled in this line where all the stitching occurs on the midsole, I think that that definitely would have added something to these two. So I think one way you could really try to tell if a sketch theme has worked out or not is by just placing it up against a really simple background like this gray wall we have right here. And what you're essentially trying to capture is for the shoe to almost look like it is now one with the wall and sketched directly onto it. And I think that this shoe does a pretty good job of achieving that look here. So over the years, there has been tons of fads and trends that have entered into the custom sneaker world. Obviously, this sketch cartoony theme, like I said, is one that really exploded over the last 18 months or so. But I'm glad that it's still here. It looks really cool. Obviously, if you guys are a fan of Marco here on YouTube, he just did an entire car with this theme. I know that he's done some Air Forces pretty similar to these also. So it's a really cool theme that a lot of people have tried, and it still looks really cool, that's for sure. So overall, great job. You definitely achieved that cartoony look on these G1 GB Customs. So we hope you guys enjoyed today's episode of reviewing your customs. We want to give a major shout out to all of these artists for sending in these pairs. This was really fun, and these were some absolutely crazy pairs today. Please be sure to go and follow each of these artists. Go ahead and let them know you saw their pairs featured on today's episode, and give them a little bit of love on Instagram also. So thank you guys, and we'll see you in that next video.